to possibly achieve?
I'll start. I'd like to achieve being able to go to bed at night.
Okay.
At the moment I'm sleeping in a chair because I can't lie down because
Wow.
I spasm so badly during the night that I can no longer move in the morning. So I sit in a chair and my husband pulls me up.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay?
Hang about, you might learn something from the talk. If not, just ask me at the end and might be able to chat to you about
Thank
it.
you.
Can't stop the ageing process.
Yeah, you can't, well, not yet, yeah. Okay, well done.
Good.
So hopefully you learn something from the next few sections that I go through. Anybody else? No? Okay, we'll move on. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just play a little video of a lady
Always have it.
and her experience. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Narelle. I'm 62 years old.
So why were you unsure about exercise before you signed up?
I actually had been to see Monte about 4 or 5 years ago and never got around to getting to the gym, but in that period of time I sort of tried other exercise. I went to various physios doing exercise, I did Pilates, I did another form of exercise which a doctor recommended to me. All my problems started basically when I fell and broke my knee, and from that I had a lot of problems with my hip and my back and so forth. And that's been going on for about 5 years. And I found none of those exercises really worked for me. I just went into more and more pain. And what I was finding was I was stopping from doing everything and I was becoming weaker and weaker. And so I dropped in, saw Monte again, and went through the assessment, and again I didn't really come back until I got a reminder call, and I thought, yes, I'm going to do this. And so now I've been doing it for about 3 months, and I can honestly say that I love it. I come twice a week, and I think when I get a little bit stronger I'll probably try to do that 3 times a week.
Cool. What made you ultimately purchase the service? Like getting from behind the line to actually stepping over the line and doing it? Well, you may have answered that already a little bit too.
Yes, I think I probably did.
Yeah. What types of things are you doing at the gym?
When I first came, Monte was really great in as much as I wear a brace because of my back. I had problems with my wrists, but he's taken it very, very slowly with me and has pointed out that that was the best way for me to go ahead. And for me, that's worked fabulously. I haven't really had any problems since coming. If I've had any twinges, I've spoken to Monte or Howard, and they always spend the time and they fix those problems for me. And other than that, I just find that it just works for me. It's fantastic.
And any specific results?
This is getting a bit personal, but I was having trouble getting in and out of the bath, and I had a bath the other night, and I thought, gee, I really am struggling to push myself up the side of the bath. So I think, yeah, that's a positive for me.
Would you recommend the service and why?
Yes, I would definitely recommend the service. For me, it's worked. As I said, I've tried other exercise programs. I suppose it's like everything, it's personal. It either works for you or it doesn't. For me, I would recommend this to anyone because, as I said, I've tried lots of different exercises.
Just stop that there. Thanks, Narelle. We're going to have a stretch break, but we're going to keep going. So no, we don't believe if it hurts, it works. Listen to your body and your symptoms. Pain or pleasure. Some of you may have seen this model before, but it's particularly important with exercise. When you start exercise, it's usually in the pain bracket, not just physical pain or the potential of physical pain, but the pain of taking time away from your day, energy pain, that kind of thing. So, but when you get into exercise a little bit more, usually it becomes a bit more pleasurable and a little bit more fun to get the results and progress. So that's an important model to know about. So does anyone know what that stands for? DOMS, or heard of DOMS? Delayed onset of muscle soreness. So that's when exercise is okay with, when pain is okay with exercise. Usually occurs a couple of days afterwards. And the reason why is because there's microtears within the muscle, and the swelling takes a couple of days to build up before the sensory nerves feel that, and that's why you feel it. So it's sort of like, you know, riding a horse maybe and feeling a bit sore a couple of days later on. Yeah? Another area where pain is okay with exercise is if you've got arthritis. So if you've got arthritis, if you do something, usually it's going to cause a bit of stirring up. If that happens, you shouldn't exercise more than a 4 out of 10 for pain. And also 2, it should go down to its resting levels within 2 hours. And you may need to use ice or something to settle that down. So keep those in mind as well. Because if you've got arthritis, people often don't do anything, and it's a slippery slope. Don't do that, you get boxed in very quickly. Also too, with rehabilitation, it's important. If anyone's had a knee or hip replacement or shoulder surgery, you will know that it's quite sore at the very beginning. You need to push through that pain to get the range of motion. And there's 4 stages, range of motion, then you go to strength training, power training, and then functional skill-based training. So keep that in mind, okay? So the purpose of today is to educate you to know when you're being pushed with something, is it the correct thing or not the correct thing? So keep that in mind. So we all know nothing goes with force. You may have heard, may the force be with you, not at you. We believe in standing side by side with our clients and working towards the goal, not against each other. So if you're being trained by someone, or if you're going to go to a gym or a personal trainer, please keep that in mind. Did you know that with training, if my latest research is correct, within 8 weeks someone can call themselves a personal trainer. So keep that in mind. And yes, we do have to start somewhere, so you'll be able to know when you speak to that person whether they're good for you or if you're a good fit together. So just keep talking to them. Do you want to be trained by this guy? He's looking for more clients. We don't believe that hurts, it works. Start gently with a program. Practice progressive resistance. It'll either make you or break you. Imagine there's 2 trees on top of a hill. One's in a valley and one's at the top of the hill. Which do you think is going to have the stronger wood over time, subjected to the environment and the forces?
Top of the hill.
Top of the hill, very good. Why?
Moving around.
Exactly, yeah. So it's subjected to the forces, yeah? Just like exercise, that's a bit of a stress to the body. It is, it's a good stress when done correctly. If we get a tree from a nursery or a hothouse and we put it on top of the tree, and the very next day this big wind comes along, what could happen? Yeah, straight over here. So the same with exercise in the body. If we push ourselves too hard too soon, it's going to break down or break us somehow. So very slowly. If that same tree from the nursery was planted, and then there's a gentle wind, it gets harder and harder week by week, we'll be able to cope with those forces. Same with exercise. Most people get put off with it because they get pushed too hard too soon and they stop it. There's an ocean of health benefits when you get into it, and taking it steadily, you get to be able to reap all those benefits. So if something hurts, what is the first thing that you should do? Stop it. Very good. You really got to stop. Who do you speak to? Do you call up your doctor, your physio, or who do you speak to first of all? The ambulance. Depending on the condition.
Your doctor.
Yeah, mostly people do that. They speak to their physio or the doctor or something like that. Who you should really speak to is a person actually wrote. Someone didn't turn off their phone. Who you should really speak to is the person that wrote the program. They wrote it for you. They know what's going on. They're training you. Go back to that first person. Just an example with Mrs. J that I trained with the chair. She could have gone back to the doctor. The doctor may have been confused about all the exercises that are given, all the ins and outs and progression, but she spoke to me, dealt with it, moved on to the next thing very quickly, yeah? So go back to the trainer or the person that wrote the program, or in fact the person that's training you. So what's the definition of insanity if we keep on pushing through, trying to get through?
Doing what doesn't work over and over again.
Yeah, it's a bit, one last bit to the puzzle.
And expecting change?
Yes, expecting a different result. So for those people that didn't hear it, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So pain and symptoms of the body that we should know. going to flick through this. I brought my trusted first aid book, and it actually surprised me again. I sort of knew it, but some of the symptoms of really important type health conditions that could happen with exercise when you push far too hard are an overlap with symptoms of exercise generally. If I just flick through a few different things here. So, so the symptoms of a heart attack, discomfort or pain in the center of the chest, tightness, heaviness, fullness or squeezing, pain may spread to the neck, throat, shoulders, it can be in both arms as well. But also, too, more importantly, you get shortness of breath. Guess what happens with exercise? Shortness of breath. You get sweating. Guess what happens with exercise? You sweat. Nausea or vomiting. Some people, when they push themselves too hard, maybe the cities or something like that, they actually vomit at the end. So that's symptoms of heart attack as well as exercise, and dizziness too. Heat exhaustion. So heat exhaustion, feeling hot, exhausted and weak, thirst and nausea, fatigue, rapid breathing, all those things are related to exercise as well. So the person that's training should be able to pick whether it's normal or not. But at the end of the day, you need to make a judgment to say, that's too much, this is not good for me, yeah? You should know your body more than anybody else. I had a few other examples, but it's important to know also too that 10% of loss of fluid is often fatal as well. And when you have dehydration, you get thirsty, skin flushing, dry mouth, fatigue or weakness, all like exercise. Just going to skip these next ones. So types of fitness injuries we should look out for. Has anybody had any of those type of injuries or problems? And it may not necessarily be with exercise, so we'll do it generally. Yeah? Would you like to sing out for them?
Plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, plantar fasciitis.
So I'll quickly use it as an example. Do you know why that often occurs with exercise? So plantar fasciitis is pain at the base of the foot there. So you've got the arch, and that's the heel, and they're the toes. And when you do exercise, what happens is there's more force on the body. So you actually flatten the foot as you're running along, maybe on harder ground or jumping around, that kind of thing. So it actually stretches the actual fascia at the bottom there. So at the point of intersection there, you cause a lot of irritation, inflammation there. So that's why it can occur when it's too much too soon. Just like that tree, it either makes you or breaks you. If you do it progressively, well then that will get stronger over time. The body adapts and it's able to cope a lot better. Does that make sense to everyone? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So shin splints, so pain at the front of the leg, I think we all know what shin splints is. Yeah? Once again, that's related to this as well. When you've got the leg, I'm a bad drawer, there's actually a muscle that attaches from the foot area to the actual leg area. And once again, when that foot flattens a little bit, the muscles actually try and hold the foot up, and it can be strained at the point of intersection there on the leg. Okay? So there's forces around that area too. But hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas of how too much too soon can cause a lot of different problems all over the body. I just don't have time to go through them all today, but if anyone wanted to have a chat about that, you can either write that question on the card, I can answer them at the end, or I'm happy to receive a phone call as well anytime. And with the plantar fasciitis, it affects your training and your goals and slows everything down, doesn't it? Yeah. So it's better to take baby steps going forward rather than one step forward and 2 steps back and wait and what have you. Yeah. A lot of it really comes down to common sense. There might not be that golden light bulb moment that I say today that switches on. A lot of it's common sense, yeah? So if we do have an injury, we should rice. And that doesn't mean going to your favourite Chinese restaurant and having into a bowl of rice. Does anyone know what that stands for?
Rest, ice, compression, elevation.
Yep, very good. And does anyone know you should avoid harm as well? Does anyone know what that stands for? Yeah. Avoid heat, alcohol, running, and massage within the first 48 hours. Okay, so that's how to treat that. If in any day any problems or symptoms, please check in with your trainer, allied health professional, or your doctor. Okay, the doctor's the one that you always go back to with anything more serious. Yeah, he's the head of the octopus, and fitness trainer and other health professionals are all the tentacles that support you. So what if I'm unable to exercise due to a health or medical condition? The reason why I picked this slide is because in any case, there is some form of exercise that you can do. So this person should be doing deep breathing exercises to keep air in their lungs, and possibly, depending on his injuries, foot exercise to keep the circulation going. So from that stage to where you are, no matter if you have those little niggles, there's always something that can be done. You just got to trust that trainer to write the program for you and keep it flexible for you as you go along. So we believe that you are the CEO of your health and well-being, you're the CEO of your future. If it's a medical condition, sometimes you have to hand over yourself to the doctor and the specialist to look after you, but generally when it comes to training, you have the final say. We've got a safety message in our place that exercise is very, very subjective. You may decline any assessment, any exercise, and just say no if it doesn't feel comfortable, and then we'll work with you to find a way through. If we're trying to get from A to B, if I'm trying to shake someone's hand and this table's in the way, I'm not going to try and get through that table. I'll either go under, best way to go around. Sometimes we just have to give it and come back to it. Yeah? So a mix of rehabilitation type exercise and general exercise and putting into the mix. So that's you, by the way, and this is your team. Do we need a stretch break or keep going?
Keep going.
Yeah. So no, don't work harder, work smarter. Then work progressively harder as you go along. Just always think about that tree that's being subjected to wind. Let me give credit to my grandmother. My grandmother said one thing that I've always held on to. She said, if you're looking for answers, look to nature. There's answers everywhere within nature. Just look to natural physiology, biology, and how it all works. And in fact, we are part of nature, and the answers are often within us some way, somehow. So just be mindful of what you do. So the story of two farmers. There was a farmer Joe, an old school farmer, and he'd born on the farm, lived on the farm, spent all his life on the farm. And there was another farm called Farmer Sam, and he was a Macquarie Street farmer, and actually bought a property next to Farmer Joe. Anyway, there was a really cold snap, and it was quite cold, and they used up all their firewood. So the very next day, they happened to be both out there chopping. And so they're chopping away, and after about an hour, Farmer Joe saw Farmer Sam stop and have a rest. And so he said, I'm going to have a competition with this guy to see who could make the biggest pile of wood. And so anyway, they kept on chopping. By the end of the day, he noticed that Farmer Sam sat down very often during the day. But to his amazement, when he looked over the fence, he saw that Farmer Sam's pile of wood was twice as big as his pile of wood. So anyway, tail between his legs, he went around, introduced himself, and he said, look, I have to admit to you, I had a competition with you today, but the thing is, I saw you sitting down a lot of the time, and you've got twice as much wood as me. So what's going on? He goes, when I was sitting down, I wasn't just resting, I was actually sharpening my axe. So how can we think an axe sharper? By understanding the J curve. Has anyone seen this before? No? So often when we invest into something, whether it be finance, relationships, all that kind of thing, I'm here to talk to you about exercise today, we often want, at that point there, an instant result. How often is that the case if we get anything significant? Not really yet. So often we actually go down a little bit. So when it comes to exercise, we're investing our time, so we take time away from people that we want to be around, other things that we could be doing, so we're actually losing a bit of time. We're losing energy because we're giving energy to exercise. And there's often just a few things that we actually have less of. At this point here, about week 5 or 6, is often when people stop doing an exercise program. Normally because the novelty of exercise is worn off. But before they knew it, on the other side there's all these benefits to gain. So when someone sticks at it, there's more energy that they sacrifice there. It actually gives energy for you to be more productive, more efficient with your time. So all these benefits are there to be reaped. Yeah? So it's good to know that curve there, especially when you're first starting. Does anybody want to know a way how to lose weight without any exercise? One hand going up, no more? Someone must know the answer to that question. It's a very simple one. It's actually stopping to do your bad habits. So stop eating junk food, stop eating sweet foods. I know it's so easy once you've heard it right now, But yeah, it's just stopping doing all the bad things. Imagine going to a restaurant. So before you start progressing with a program of any sort, it's good sometimes to clear some of the bad stuff out of the way. So imagine going to a restaurant and there's been a couple that have just finished their meal and the waitress didn't clean the table. And then you come along with your partner and they bring the most amazing food and put it on top of that messy table. It doesn't really work too well, does it? So sometimes clearing out some of our things before we get started on a program is the best way to go. So that's a good way to start. Okay. There's a little thing on the board. So you might want to think about this. So start, let's stop, continue. So when you start a program, there might be a whole bunch of things to start. Could be starting up somewhere, making a phone call, lots of different ways to start off. Starting with a friend, I'll be going through a few of those later on. But this is the big section I'm talking about here. Stop doing all those things that aren't conducive to you going forward and just continue with all those good things, yeah? So that helps out a little bit. And if you've got a lot of things to sort of fix up, how do you clean a whole messy house? Just start with one room at a time. Just bit by bit by bit, yeah? So working smarter, when I was creating these slides, I thought to myself, what banner can I put this under? And I came up with this, being a breakthrough junkie. Why would I say that? Because where you are now to where you want to go, there are so many ways to get there. Many ways to the top of the mountain. We've all to the top of the mountain. We've all heard that. And everyone's journey is going to be slightly different. So, yeah, just whatever comes in your way, just try and find an answer around that. If you're not, did I use this example already? If you're knocking on the front door and you can't get in, try knocking on the back door. If that doesn't open, try and knock on the side door or the window, or go to the first story or the second story. If you're really committed to your goal, just keep on trying. Don't use that same way, yeah? So there's different ways to get breakthroughs with mindset. There's many different tools. Getting started, you might want to exercise with a friend, join a group, try a different type of modality. I'm talking about, okay.
If you wanted 10 minutes.
Okay. So yeah, getting started, different types of modalities of exercise too if it's not working for you. I mean, we do exercise on the land and we do it in the gym, but I'm here to talk about generally. That might not work for you. You might want to try hydrotherapy, swimming. You might want to try lots of different things. Maybe a sport might work better for you. So yeah, there's many different ways to get started with health and well-being and fitness. If there's past bad experiences, forget that. The past is the unless you bring it up. So just forget all the past, find something that's going to work for you, the person, the modality, the system, and keep going new or fresh. At any point in time, you've got 100% left of your time to fulfill on what you want to fulfill on this planet. So forget the past and keep going forward. And it's never too late to start either. Inflexible beliefs. So people might have reasons why. I was going to use this example. A patient of mine went to a health professional, and he goes to the doctor, I've got a bum knee, it's really sore. And sorry, I didn't want to say that word. The health professional said, you're getting old. And guess what my client said? My other knee's exactly the same age, there's no problem with that knee. So sometimes we've got different beliefs that hold us back. Just keep breaking through them. Be a breakthrough junkie. Not just with exercise, but lots of different areas. Just keep on finding a way. Time, I've got a time saving sheet there. So if anyone wants to take one, I'm happy to go through that at a later time with them. Nutrition, there's different areas there. Just have soups in winter, salads in summer, speak to a dietitian, smaller plates, eating throughout the day, having your carbs before 3 o'clock. There's some examples for you. With regards to pain, go and see that physio, go and see that specialist, go and see the doctor. Find a way with that pain. Don't keep on pushing through. Maybe find an alternative. Do some rehab exercise if you need to. There's different ways of strengthening. Here's the example of doing eccentric contractions rather than concentric contractions. You can do whole type exercises so we don't stir up a joint. There's many different ways. Money, I'll leave you guys to work that one out. And the weather as well. There's always going to be a circumstance. It's going to be too hot, it's going to be too cold. Just change the way you are. Be adaptable to the circumstance. Yeah? How long have we got left?
Do about 4 minutes.
A few minutes. Okay. So I'll quickly run through these. Has anyone actually read this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Yeah. By Stephen Covey. It's a quite well-known book. What I tried to do was get those habits and actually relate it to exercise. So I'll just read off the cards that I've got here on how it all sort of fits together. So habit 1, be proactive. Make a decision to start. We've got a philosophy of ready, fire, aim. What do most people say? Ready, aim, fire. Reverse the last two. The situation for your health and well-being may not always line up, and you might not be perfectly ready to actually get going. So just get going and deal with those things that come up along the way, or else we'll never get started. We'll never get started. It'll never be perfect. Walk today. Tomorrow never comes. If anyone's inspired by something I've said today, today's the day to actually make a start. It might be just to get the shoes out of the cupboard and start walking. It might be to call up a gym, or it might be to call up a friend and start walking. Just start with small steps to start off with, yeah? Bit by bit by bit. And for those of you who are exercising already, maybe just taking things to another new level. Just break through, and wherever you're stuck, there's always another way. It comes from within. Don't wait for external factors. Don't wait for your friend to be ready. Don't wait for that special to be that you find in the paper to get started. Just start now. Make a choice to start something. Run your own race. I'm going to talk a little bit faster so I get through some of these points without going over time. Just to respect your time. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. What do you want? When do you want it? What are you inspired by? Make a plan. Start small. We talked about SMART goals. Immerse yourself with achievers. People have actually achieved what you want to achieve. Hang around them. They've got all the information. They did it. Habit 3, put first things first. We talked about clearing out the bad habits. Having some quick wins, small baby steps to achieving those. Don't have a big goal to start off with. Small baby goals to get you going into momentum. Put health and fitness as a priority. Think win-win. With exercise, we all know that you become energetic, you become more productive, you've got more ability. Who else wins? Your partner wins, your family wins, your workplace wins. Everyone wins around you. So it's like a ripple effect, and you can be that ripple effect where everyone benefits around you. Does anybody know the difference between selfish and self-interested? Selfish is like an example of a 20, 30-year-old exercising at the gym, goes home and looks in the mirror, how good is me? Whereas self-interested is to be, did I just use the correct word? Selfish was the first example. Self-interested is where you're doing almost the same type of exercise program, building yourself up. You're still